Hi, gang. It is I. I am back. Yes, that's right. After being gone for a couple of days, not having a show, I have returned. So, can you look forward to just whip sharp, just cutting edge, really well timed comedic comments? Or is it, oh, come on, I can't even pretend. There's always something goofy or messed up. But I can tell you for certain the Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. I am back once again. Yes, I am Jeff McAleer, and I am your host here at the Daily Dope, as well as the Grand Poobah of thegaminggang.com. And no, you do not need to adjust your monitors or mobile devices or television screens, what have you. I am not wearing a hat today. I know, it's a shocker. I don't think I've done a stream without a hat on because I was in dire need of a haircut. And to be very honest, it's still a little longer than I would have liked. But if you were watching the show on Friday, or if you happen to catch the Friday show after the fact, you do know I did have a death in the family. My Uncle Bob passed away, and I did not have a show Monday or Tuesday because of the wake and the funeral. And I do want to mention there were quite a few of my friends out there who shot me a quick email or commented over on Facebook sending condolences, and I do really, really appreciate that. Very nice for folks to do that. I have to admit, I love when somebody says something nice because those out there who follow, game reviewers or different streams and things like that, you already know that the vast majority of comments we ever receive are negative. So it's always nice for somebody to say something nice. Anyway, I do have quite a bit cooking on today's show. So I will be unboxing Old School Tactical Volume 2. I have to hold way back here. In fact, maybe I'll just do the show like this all show long. Anyway, it is from the fine folks at Flying Pig Games, and my friend Mark H. Walker is the designer, as well as he's the Grand Poobah of Flying Pig Games. So I'm going to have an unboxing of that in just a few moments. Because it's Wednesday, I like to look at Wargames on Wednesdays. So we've got that. Then tomorrow, if you're curious, I will be unboxing Rail Raiders Infinite from Ninja Division. The fine folks at Ninja Division were nice enough to send along 4 of their titles for me to take a peek at. So I'm going to bust out. I was going to say unbox. I am unboxing it. But I am going to bust out Rail Raiders Infinite to start with. Then on Friday, it is Family Fun Fridays, and I will be reviewing Capital City from Calliope Games. And I don't have it handy to show off the box because it's actually sitting in my car because we were playing it over the weekend. Anyway, I do have some news, a few news items out there. Got a couple of quick mailbag items that I'm going to address as well. Real quick. Just they were quick questions that I thought I would answer. And I do want to point out there is chat. There's chat available through Twitch as well as YouTube. It just doesn't happen to be up on the screen that you can see, but I can see it. So if you have any questions or comments, or when I'm doing the unboxing, if you want a closer look at Old School Tactical Volume 2, then by all means just pipe in on chat, and I will make sure to point that out, and we can take a closer look. So anyway, wow. Just got home a few minutes before starting the show, so interestingly enough, I had to keep an eye on my niece and nephew yesterday because both my brother and my sister-in-law were both flying. So yes, it's been a pretty hectic few days. So it is nice to be back in the duct tape studio, to be kicking back with you fine folks, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, talking a little bit about some gaming and geek culture. So anyway, let's move on to the news. My first item is a family-friendly game that's going to be coming next month from Evil Hat Publishing, and it looks pretty interesting. It's coming in February, and it's called Greedy Dragons. It is a card stacking game, and I have the dope, although I have to admit I don't have too many images, just this one. Anywho, mine, all mine. It's time to divvy up the dragon's hoard, but no one wants to share. Can you trick your fellow dragons into leaving you with the most treasure? Greedy Dragons is a simple but strategic card stacking game. Overlap cards and build layers to collect all the gems and leave your opponents empty-handed. Play one-on-one or team up with other dragons to maximize your loot. Add the magic ring to the hoard to raise the stakes even higher. My precious. There are plenty of options to make for hours of gold-grabbing fun. Watch out for those greedy, grabby, gem-crazy dragons. Greedy Dragons will contain a rulebook, 60 layer cards, 81 treasure cards, and a start player card. It is for 2 to 6 players, ages 8 and up, plays in around 15 to 30 minutes, and when it arrives in February, it will carry a friendly MSRP of $12.99. Greedy Dragons. Well, sounds like it might be interesting. I will be the first to point out I highly doubt that Evil Hat Productions will ever send me another review copy, seeing that I didn't care for their Dresden Files cooperative card game. And I did give it well, I don't want to say it was a thumbs down. It was not it really wasn't much of a recommendation. It actually plays better with 2 players than a full complement. I think it's 5 if I remember correctly, which was very strange. It was a much more entertaining, much more winnable game with fewer players rather than more players. Strange enough. But yeah, I do not think they liked my honest appraisal of their game. Anyway, moving on to my next item. I don't get to cover miniatures enough, and I am really trying to get more miniatures news out there, even from companies I haven't really ever worked with in the past. But I do know that Kings of War is pretty popular, and Mantic Games is actually tidying up their rules for the fantasy miniatures game for 2018, and I've got the dope. Mantic Games is pleased to announce that the new Clash of Kings supplement is available now. The 72-page supplement includes new units, faction changes, refreshed spells, and more for the mass fantasy battle game Kings of War. After the success of Clash of Kings back in 2017, Mantic went back to the drawing board for the latest edition. Using data from tournaments around the world, the Kings of War Rules Committee, that's an official name, looked closely at those units that needed to be rebalanced to ensure Kings of War remains competitive and fun. This means there are more than double the amount of unit amends in the latest edition. What's more, after launching the idea of formations in the Edge of the Abyss summer campaign, there weren't formations in it before, and it's mass combat? That's interesting. Clash of Kings 2018 expands upon the idea and introduces brand new formations for all factions in Kings of War. Alongside this, there are new living legends, like myself, not, for a range of armies, including a massive catapult for the goblins and a gigantic fire elemental for the forces of nature. But Clash of Kings isn't the only big change for Kings of War in 2018. Also launching this week are the brand new Battlefield cards. This deck of cards adds new objectives to battles, random events, and new strategies to push your armies to the limit. Using the Battlefield cards will ensure that no two games ever play the same. You can grab the 2018 edition of Clash of Kings for an MSRP of $24.99, while the Battlefield cards are available with an MSRP of $12.99. And both should be at your friendly local gaming store right now. I must admit that Mantic Games has some cool figures. They have some really, really nice sculpts. And of course they do The Walking Dead All Out War, which I never have had a chance to take a peek at. But I have seen the miniatures, at least images of them, and they look pretty sweet too. So the other thing I want to mention, I don't know for a fact, but from my understanding, their prices are a bit more friendly than some other miniature companies as well. I can't tell you for certain because I have not actually checked out many of the Mantic games close up. I've seen them at some conventions, but I've actually never gone in and taken a really, really good look. But I do understand, I guess the rumor is that their pricing is much friendlier than some other companies that I will not name. Moving right along, Ninja Division is looking to make your way into their video game brawler-inspired Way of the Warrior series much easier with a new standalone title which is hitting next month. And I've got the dope from Ninja Division. Way of the Fighter Turbo is a great entry point into the exciting world of Way of the Fighter. This box includes a Way of the Fighter rulebook, a unique double-sided game board, game tokens, 24 core dice, 6 orange power dice, 6 green power dice, plus fighter decks and standees for, get ready for me to mispronounce all these, Cassie, Ferris, Deshawn, Lumi, and Severina. Each fighter deck includes cards specific to that fighter that determine their core playstyle and the suggested technique cards for that fighter, making Way of the Fighter Turbo an awesome fighting experience right out of the box. Way of the Fighter is an expandable card game designed by Benjamin Yamada, I'm sure that's right, Yamada, that pits two fighters against one another in an arena with a theme reminiscent of classic arcade-style fighting games. Each player must manage their fighter's movements, actions, health, and energy to achieve victory. Way of the Fighter is for 2 players ages 14 and up, plays in around 30 to 60 minutes, and it will carry an MSRP of $49.99 when it arrives on February 14th. Aha! Strangely enough, Way of the Fighter there isn't a Way of the Fighter title in the 4 games that Ninja Division sent me along. So, which is fine. I mean, that's cool. I just was kind of like, oh, hey, yeah, I would kind of like to check that out because I'm certain my nephew Cameron would dig that whole classic side scroller arcade action little, take a little of that with you. I got something for you right here. Anyway, I do have my next news piece. It looks really, really unique, and it is not a company I'm familiar with. It's not a series I'm familiar with either, but it's a solitaire role-playing game. I know, solitaire role-playing games are few and far between, and it is from Trollish Delver Games. Like I said, I am not overly familiar, well, I shouldn't say overly, I'm not familiar at all with this company, but I do have the dope. You can now pick up Quill White Box, and it's a new way to play the award-winning Quill letter-writing solo role-playing game inspired by the original version of that famous fantasy game that originally came in a white box. Mm-hmm. For the first time, create a classic fantasy character from classes like Fighter, Cleric, Thief, Elf, and Dwarf, each with its own special ability to help you on your letter-writing adventures. Use the same character through multiple adventures, gaining treasure and magical items like enchanted perfumes and hypnotic parchment to give you the edge. Quill White Box features 5 new fantasy adventures. The Demon Haunted Tower. Find a way into a mysterious tower that is slowly draining the life from a surrounding village. The Elven Princess. Bring 2 lovers together from different worlds. Uncharted Waters. Convince an old enemy to raise an ancient pirate from the dead in order to reveal a hidden isle. And Bane of the Underking. Get your incredible story of dungeon crawling heroism picked up in the City Gazette. Plus, The Beast of Nightwood. Create a field journal documenting the existence of a mythical creature. Treasure, fame, and adventure are all yours with Quill White Box, and you can download it now. I do want to mention that you do have to have the Quill core rules in order to play. The Quill series is available through DriveThruRPG, and they offer it as a pay-what-you-want pricing, which is pretty interesting. I have to say, and there weren't a whole lot of images to pull for, well, there was only one, for Quill White Box. So I went and I took a peek, and there are various different Quill titles in the series. And this really does strike me as something that's very different because it's a role-playing game, but you're writing letters. So this is really something I have to give a closer look to because they have Quill. Then they've got Quill. I think it's called Love Letters. So there's like a romance aspect to that one. Of course, there's White Box, which is fantasy. There's also a cosmic horror one, and anything that's Lovecraftian, I come running. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to like it, but I do come a-running. So I am going to take a peek to see exactly what this is, because as I mentioned, this sounds pretty cool. Plus, it's pay what you want. And I did notice for like the core book, and they're fairly short. I think I'm talking like 36 pages for the core rules, and some of the extra supplements are 18 pages. But it says, suggested $4, suggested $1. Come on, it's not going to break the bank. And like I said, solitaire role-playing games are very, very few and far between, unless you're looking at something which is kind of along the lines of the create your own adventure. And if you play like on your PC or tablet, Steve Jackson's Sorcery, very, very cool, create your own adventure. Very, very nice. But once again, it's on a computer or on a tablet. This is all with you. And there's some other aspects I was taking a peek at. I'm like, wow, this looks neat. I know, I'm a dork. I'm like, neat. But it does. It looks very, very interesting. So I am going to take a peek. And my final news item is another RPG-related news piece. And it comes from my buddy Chris Birch over at Modiphius, because you may already know that the John Carter Warlord of Mars, it's got a really long title, Kickstarter is it's ongoing. I believe it's 16 days left, maybe 18 days left. It's like 600% funded, so it's a done deal. But Modiphius is offering a quick start rule supplement as well as an adventure absolutely free. That is correct. You're getting a freebie with the quick start rules and an adventure. And it is, wait for it. Yes, thank you. I want to say it's titled John Carter Flags of Mars. Anyway, here's the dope from Modiphius. This short, free, quick start adventure is designed to allow players to take on the role of heroes from the John Carter of Mars stories as they encounter perilous adventures on Barsoom, explore the rules of its I always mess it up. It's 2D 20, 2D20, Jeff. And you get to explore the rules of the 2D20 role-playing system. Although I believe John Carter is using kind of a little bit of a modified, I don't want to say it's been simplified, I think it's a little easier to get into. Anyway, the adventure is set shortly after the events of A Princess of Mars and the decline of Helium's longtime rival, Zodanga. During this period, John Carter stays for years in Helium with his beloved Deja Thoris, but few of his adventures during this time are described in Burroughs' work. As the adventure begins, Carter is traveling with Deja and several friends and allies by flyer to meet with a delegation from a minor red Martian kingdom, Vaninka, that is seeking alliance with Helium. Vaninka was a small satellite nation of Zodanga. Zodanga. Until the nation's recent defeat at the hands of Helium. It now seeks new allies among Helium and its Jadak. A young but respected leader known as Corlin Nim has requested a diplomatic meeting with representatives of Helium, the player heroes, and their crew. Need a sip here. And things were just going so smoothly with the news. Anyway, all is not quite as it seems, and this apparently simple diplomatic mission soon launches our heroes into a whirlwind adventure. Prepare to experience the might and majesty of 2D20 adventures on the Red Planet in John Carter of Mars. And the quick start rules and adventure are available absolutely free over at drivethrurpg.com. And whenever I mention drive-thru-RPG, I always like to kind of float out there, if you are going to visit, please stop by thegaminggang.com first, click on one of our banners, and if you happen to make a purchase while you're at drive-thru-RPG, we get a little portion of that sale. And you'd be surprised, they really do stack up and help keep the Gaming Gang and, of course, the Daily Dope running and chugging along. All right, so that is the news for today, and get rid of the teleprompter. Goodbye, teleprompter, you yada. Yeah, I guess it would help if I knew how to read. So anyway, I am going to move on to the unboxing for Old School Tactical Volume 2 in just a moment. Did have a couple of quick questions that popped up in the mailbag, and if you notice, you'll see there's a little email address down there. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, by all means, reach out, say hello, however. But if you kind of have a question about certain things, or if you want to ask me to maybe talk about a certain topic, feel free. So anyway, the first question that I had was simply about the YouTube videos, and that how come the YouTube videos don't start with like the show opening or me with whatever Weisenheimer thing I've got to say to start off the show, and then move into the intro and then onto the show. There's always this kind of stay tuned that plays, and it plays for about a minute. And the question was, how come I don't trim that out? So the answer to that is that the video that you see most of the time on YouTube, if you didn't watch the stream live, is the actual stream itself. And really, the only time I have to do anything, and oh please, don't let this happen today, because it's happened more and more recently. The only time it's not is if the sound isn't synced. Now, I've been playing around all morning long. Well, I shouldn't say all morning. When I got back home and got down here and set everything up, I did play around to make sure that the sound is in sync, because recently it seems like the stream sound is okay, and then when YouTube renders that video, it finishes doing the rendering, the sound is out of sync. And sometimes it's by maybe about a second, sometimes it's been more than that. And it's very bizarre because it's not as if it's delayed. Sometimes the sound is ahead, which leads me to believe it's something going on when YouTube renders the video. But if I don't have to resync the sound and re-upload a video, I don't trim off the opening, because the opening where it's saying stay tuned, that actually starts about a minute before I go live, and that's to let people know that the stream is live. Because if you have notifications through YouTube or Twitch, you'll get a little notification pop up saying that the Gaming Gang is live. Because this show is the Daily Dope, but the website and our YouTube page is the Gaming Gang. So anyway, so that'll pop up, and it gives people a little bit of time to navigate over to YouTube to watch, or Twitch, to watch the stream. So that's why that's in there. Now you can try to edit that out afterwards, and I have done that on a few different occasions. You can trim the video on YouTube, and then it never works. It sits there and for a couple of days saying it's processing, because it won't do anything to the original video. We'll leave the original video there so people can still watch it, but supposedly behind the scenes, it being trimmed, that's getting cut off, getting cut out of it, never works. I've done it 3 times, and then it says for 2-3 days that the video is processing, then it's no longer saying it's processing, and it's not trimmed off the front of the video. So, don't know what to tell you. I have no idea. Anyway, so that was one of the items. The other item was basically, and usually if somebody sends me an email and they've got like a specific question or something like that, then I'll say, oh, so-and-so from wherever sent me this question. But this was just sort of a kind of floated out there, and I've gotten some emails similar to it. And the question basically was, well, it doesn't seem like people are watching the Daily Dope as much as they did when I was doing just a dedicated video for whatever, for let's say a GMT game or an AEG game or Greenbrier Games, what have you, an unboxing. Didn't do a lot of review videos, mainly unboxings, because I dig the written reviews, which I talked about that a couple weeks ago, that probably not going to see a whole lot of written reviews as long as I'm doing this. So the question was basically, well, does it bother you? I mean, are you going to keep doing the Daily Dope? Or are you just going to kind of go back to what you were doing? And, I'm having fun doing this. I'm enjoying doing this. I'm not sitting here like, oh yeah, wow, I can't believe, I don't have 1,000 people watching every day. No, not at all. It does vary though. And I'll do a GMT video, I'll do an unboxing or review something from GMT, and I get quite a good number of viewers. I might do something for another company, and I just, I get the handful, sitting in double digits. I have no control over that. And part of that too has to do with the company itself that I'm talking about, that I'm showing off their game. If they don't, and it's weird, I don't understand how some companies, they're on social media, they're all over social media, and then they don't try to promote their own product that's being shown off. I don't get it. Don't know. So, no, the Daily Dope's not going anywhere. I'm having a good time. Of course, when convention season comes along and I'm off at the different conventions, you won't be seeing the Daily Dope for, 3-4 days, what have you. But of course, there'll be convention videos up instead. So, yeah, don't worry. I'm having fun. I'm having a good time. I'm not overly concerned with how many people are watching or anything like that. Because it's like anything else. It's like the Gaming Gang. Now we pull in anywhere from about 95,000 to 105,000 unique visitors a month. And that's really good. And if you're not familiar with what a unique visitor is, if you go to a website 50 times in a month, you only get counted once as a unique visitor. So we do really well over the gaming gang bringing people in. And you know what? It wasn't always like that. It took time. It launched in 2010. So yeah, I'm not overly concerned with that. So anyway, so we're going to take a peek at the newest volume of Old School Tactical. It successfully kickstarted not too long ago. It is available right now too. Let me pop over to the other camera. There we go. It's because I had picked it up, I moved it out of frame. But I have Old School Tactical Volume 2. And this game is going to cover the Western Front, 1944 and 1945. And this is a good-sized box. This is a really, really big box. And in fact, last week I joked around. I said, Mark, what are you doing? Where am I supposed to put this on my shelf? For crying out loud. But just kind of give you an idea. I got Welcome to Centerville out because we played that also over the weekend. But this is kind of a standard GMT size box. And that is what we're looking at. So there is quite a bit of real estate here. I do believe that this has a really good sized board. I'm not sure if it's just one big map or if it's modular. But we are going to find out in just a moment. And I was playing around a little bit with the way the cameras are set up and try to get more of a completely overhead view of the games because it was angled a little bit and the tripod was actually kind of on the table. So like if I did this, the camera would be like... So I have kind of played around with it a little bit, so we don't have that happening. The only thing, too, is, though, that as I lean in, I'm probably not going to be centered all that well, but we'll find out. Everything's an experiment until you're doing it all the time, so... Okay. There we go, get the shrink off. And I believe I said this is designed by Mark H. Walker. It's not. It's actually a Shane Logan design. So I could be wrong with this. I might be incorrect, but I do believe that Old School Tactical was originally available from Tiny Battle Publishing, which is another Mark H. Walker company. But they produce smaller kind of Ziploc bags. Good stuff, don't get me wrong, but they don't get like the deluxe treatment. So I think Old School Tactical, both the first volume and second volume, were originally being produced by Tiny Battle Publishing and did so well that they kickstarted both volumes as big deluxe editions through Flying Pig Games. I think that is the case. I can't tell you for sure. I'm not necessarily positive. So let's get this open. And as I mentioned, this box is pretty large. And I have this camera zoomed kind of as far out as I can get to kind of get some stuff in, because I have a feeling that this board inside is going to be pretty big. So I want to try to get as much of that on camera that we can take a peek at. So it looks like we've got some action cards here. Now, the game is called Old School Tactical, but I do believe that there are some newer kind of mechanics tossed in. I shouldn't say tossed in. Some newer sort of wargaming mechanics that are part of the equation, I guess we will say. So this is probably going to look a bit old school, like the old Avalon Hill SPI games. But I do believe this is supposed to be designed to be pretty easy to get into, to get started with. I can't say this is going to be necessarily a gateway game, but I do believe that the rules are pretty easy to pick up and run with. So I don't know if that would make it old school. Wouldn't that make it more new school? Maybe it's old school, kind of new and old. I don't know. All right, let me wet the whistle here. So I've got these cards. I will take a closer look at those in just a moment. We've got 4 6-sided dice, 2 black, 2 white. Got a rule book. Got a scenario book. All right, so let's see what we've got in the rule book. Welcome to Old School Tactical. And the rules do look a little old school. Got the counters. Giving a breakdown of the different counters. Looks like we got some armor. All right, let's drop that down a little bit, kind of get that in. Oh, firing arcs. Rear tanks, probably anti-tank guns, self-propelled artillery maybe. So it's talking about the different terrain. Oh, quite a few different terrain types. Talking about line of sight. I think there's vehicle cards in here too. Not positive. We'll find out. We're gonna see. We're gonna see here. Oh, there's more illustrations than we used to see in some of the old school games. And I don't mean old school from any of Mark's companies. I mean old school Avalon Hill sort of stuff. Looks like we've got some combat examples here. Vehicle combat results. All right, so the rules clock in at 22 pages. Sequence of play here at the back. I think it might be. Oh no, it's just rule numbering. Okay, so we've got the rule book. So 22 pages isn't bad. Not bad at all for pretty detailed World War II game. Yeah, scenarios. I will point out that there is a free scenario download on Wargame Vault for Flying Pig Games, and it's got a scenario for Knight of Man, which I just did a video last week, kind of show off how to play Knight of Man because it's a really cool game. And that does make a pretty nice game to kind of introduce wargaming concepts to somebody that you'd like to get into the hobby, who maybe something like this and like, oh, World War II, I don't know. Knight of Man is a science fiction game. Then there's 65, Combat in the Jungles of Vietnam. So on Wargame Vault, there is a free download. It's got a scenario. I think it's for Volume 1 of OST, though. I'm sure someone out there will correct me if I'm wrong. But there's also a scenario for 65 and Knight of Man in it, and that's pretty cool. All right, so we got the Lost Boys, Into the Fog, Fubar. I won't translate what that stands for. Hedgerow Clash, Patton's Ghosts, Hunting the Hunters, Night Raid, Chaos. A pretty good number of scenarios here. The Abbey, a German Sherman. Heavy Hitters, Bourbon for Bravery. Sweet. There are about 18, 20 scenarios in this. Over the Rhine. Attacking Strauss, Won't They Ever Give Up? Oh, wait, what is this? It says S1, S2. Maybe these are, maybe it's a two-part scenario? Nice. So, altogether, 18 scenarios. Wow, that's cool. I like that. I like a lot of scenarios with my games. So we've got player aid sheets, both players. Got train chart. Looks like off-board artillery. Is that an artillery drift? Yeah, artillery drift. Infantry combat tables, vehicle combat tables. So we've got two of these. And then we've got the counter sheets. Now I can see that these aren't. Hey, what's going on here? What's going on? What happened here? Where's that counter? Okay, it's over here. We're good. We're okay. Okay, so I can see that it's a Jagdpanther. Some people call it Jagdpanther. I thought it was Jagdpanther. Just like some people would say Jägermeister. It's Jägermeister, but I thought it's supposed to be really pronounced Jagermeister. Don't know. Can't tell you. It's not necessarily a drink that I enjoy. It's not a shot that I do much of. All right, so that's kind of an example of the counter sizer. Good size counters. They're just not the huge chunky ones that we've seen from some of the Flying Pig games like Night of Man, or 65 has big ones, but these aren't little bitty counters either. What are these? 3/4 of an inch maybe? It's kind of funny because the old thing is, you know, like, that's an inch between your knuckles. And they are dual-sided. There we go. It's cool artwork, some cool top-down. I like the fact that they went with illustrations for infantry as opposed to kind of like, you know, like NATO iconography and stuff. Nice. All right, so obviously these are Germans. And looks like we got US. Or allies, but I would guess US. I'm taking a stab. I think this might be squad level. I'm not positive, but I think it might be squad level because they're showing bazookas. What are those light machine guns? That's a mortar. Browning automatic rifle. Yeah, there we go. There we go. We got machine guns over here. It's like medium and heavy. Yep, satchel charges. Yeah, so I'm guessing it's probably squad level. And we've got some more markers here, some informational markers. We're looking at control, broken, used, gun move, no fire, cover, impulse. My nephew Cameron is very interested in military history. And of course, he's always asking me because, yeah, I'm fairly up on quite a lot. But I keep trying to get him to sit down and actually play a Grognard's game. Not necessarily, it doesn't have to be some epic, huge monster game that's going to take weeks to finish, but I would like to try to introduce him to something that's more meaty than some of the stuff that we've played in the past. And he played Night of Man, really enjoyed it, but I lived just a little more than that. Just a little more heavy mental lifting, I guess I would say, or mental heavy lifting. Okay, so it looks as if this is one big map. Yes, it is. So let's see what we can do with this, how we can unfold this to get a better peek. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm just going to lift this up kind of get a better feel. Graphics are nicely done. It's talking about some of the, looks like some of the buildings, maybe some of the cover modifiers that they give you. So it appears that for various scenarios, you're probably going to play on different areas of this board. Okay, so I'm going to move the main box. Whoops, hit the mic. Sorry, folks, if you got a big bang out of that. Let's, yowza. Whoops, this is really. The thing is, I always try to be careful to not tear the paper backing on a map, because that's easier done than people think. Holy cow. All right, so I'm gonna see what I can get into this. Ay, ay, ay. Holy jamoles. Okay, Mark, I was kidding around at, where am I going to put this on my shelf? Sort of like, what, you're going to make me go buy a new table to get this in? Yeah, you are seeing, let's see, right here. Okay. This is the halfway point of this map. This is the middle of the map, so you're only seeing like the top, you're not even getting the top half of this board. But, wow, that is pretty cool. Very, very cool. And it's got various tracks running down the side for the players. As you can see, if you're taking a peek at me up in the corner here, I'm kind of like pushed out of frame. It's because that's how long this map is. This board is, because I'm sitting way back, so I could actually lay this down. Nice. That is pretty cool. And then it looks like we've got some more terrain stuff running across the top. So I would take a stab that in the various scenarios that this map is broken up, because I saw, what was it? Yeah, map 4. So I wouldn't be shocked to see if on other parts of the board it indicates like a map number, and that's where that scenario takes place, is on that area of the board. I have to admit, I'm a little surprised that this wasn't done modularly. And it's possible because you've got these different tracks running down the sides. Maybe they decided that was, as I'm putting it in the box top, decided they'd be better served if they went in that direction, doing that. I don't know. I have no idea. All right, so let's take a look at these cards. See what we've got. Nice to see a Western Front game for a change. Because, I don't know, maybe it's me, but it just seems like every war game that I've seen coming out, like, say, for an example, you've got Thunder in the East, which I think is wrapping up today or tomorrow for Victory Point Games. It's Eastern Front. It seems like a lot of stuff nowadays that I see popping out is all Eastern Front. Okay, so these are the cards here. Looks like it's, yep, we got broken up US and German. Kind of sort these a little bit. Okay, then we got luck. I'm out of luck, that's for sure. Okay, we got all these luck cards. All right, so let's take a look, quick peek. Fortune favors the bold. Let's give me a modifier here. Artillery strike. Looks like this might be another design where you can't just call in artillery whenever you want. You know, mortar attack. Experimental ammo. But for an example, say like Knight of Man. It's truly card driven. as far as the actions, because you have to play cards to have your units do stuff, and you're looking at cards to see if you hit and all these other things. But you have off-board or off-map artillery. You can't use it unless you get a card that you can use it. Strafing run, leading from the front. Okay, so that's some of the cards there. We've got some of the German. Here we go. These are the unit. There are unit cards, so that's what these are. Okay, heavy machine gun. Oh, they even have it for the infantry units. Second line squad, Panzerschreck, leaders. Not showing all the different bonuses. Pioneer squad, Panzerfaust, rifle squad. Ooh. Yeah, nice. King Tiger. All right, let's take a look at the King Tiger. Yeah, movement, front defense, flank defense, high explosive firepower. Nice. Okay, what do we got for the U.S.? Okay, so we got mortar, airborne squad. Oops. Bazooka. Rifle squad. Engineer squad. M8 Greyhound. Oh, there we go. Stewart. Nice. Very cool. Hellcat. Nice. Very nice. Very cool. So that's what that was. So I was thinking, oh, okay, so is this kind of card driven in some way? There are these, decks. But no, they're the actual unit cards. Cool. And quite a few of them, too, for the two opposing sides. So in the game we've got, and I think I'm going to try to do it this way and put the map in first. These decks of cards. So in Old School Tactical, Volume 2, Western Front 1944 and 45, we've got the monster-sized board, and I can't stress it enough. This is a big, big board. We've got the German units, we've got the American units, and we've got the luck deck. We've got the 18 scenarios in the scenario book. We've got 2 handy-dandy player aids. Got 3 sheets of counters. 1 German, 1 American, and 1 is informational markers for the most part. Got the 22-page rule book, as well as the 4 dice, and that, folks, is what we'll find in Old School Tactical Volume 2 when we take everything outside the box. I do want to mention Old School Tactical Volume 2 is available now. You can go to flyingpiggames.com to place your order. It does carry an MSRP of $90. And unfortunately, I apologize, I did not have this in time to share this when it was on sale. There was a sale going on. I think it was for Volume 2. Maybe it was only Volume 1. But it may have been Volume 1 that was $67, which, sweet deal, considering it's normally $90. So, very nice. I'm going to do my best to convince Cameron to take a peek at this with me. I would say, oh yeah, well maybe I can try to talk Elliot Miller into playing, but it's just, yeah, no, it's not going to happen. I know it won't. I mean, he'll play, and of course, you've watched the show before. Elliot Miller's my best friend, voiceofe.com. He'll play games that take 3 hours to complete. It's just, I think the bloom is off the rose for Wargames. We did a lot of wargaming back when we were younger, and I think it's really not sort of his thing. Just traditional kind of wargame stuff. Anyway, so I will have a review of Old School Tactical in the near future. So I can tell that I'm going to have to adjust the camera here because I'm a little too, I think, high up here. Try to be back a little bit. Anyway, like I said, I was kind of playing around with the cameras a little bit, trying to get a little. I mean, it's 1080p for example, this. But then after the stream of that, it's not super sharp. It's fine when I'm, I should say, up in that corner. But anyway, so that is the show for today. A little shorter than I thought it was going to be. I thought we would probably run over an hour, but just under an hour. Strange. Man. Okay. Anyway, when you are not watching The Daily Dope, be sure to go visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. By now you know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. I am Jeff McAleer. I will be back tomorrow. We're going to take a look at Rail Raiders Infinite on tomorrow's show. I might have a few RPG tips. I don't want to say tricks. Let's just say tips. Because I like to do RPG stuff on Thursdays. I am going to share some thoughts of how to handle some unruly players when they're sitting around your table and you happen to be the GM. There are a few techniques I've used over the years that really has helped me kind of keep control, make sure things don't get just too goofy, and that the focus stays on the game. Anyway, so I will be back tomorrow, and until then, be sure to have a wonderful Wednesday, and thank you so much for watching.